feel like a brand new person.
What is the deal, beautiful people? It's your boy Ramon, Lifestyles Defined. Let's talk about the Motorola 360, the second generation. You know, I feel like I owe a lot of different people an apology, and we'll get into that, but just know I wasn't the biggest fan of smartwatches in the past, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So as you talk about a smart anything, I guess the first real thing you want to know about is the specs. So this guy is coming home with pretty much a 1.5-inch display sporting 232 or 33 pixels per square inch and a resolution of 360 by 330. So that you see that sort of flat tire on the bottom. I don't know if that affects the resolution count. I'm sure it does, but nonetheless, it is a backlit LCD and not an OLED, and that's one of the things that I thought was interesting about Motorola's choice in display. But I don't think it harms it in any way, or you know, it's still a very vibrant display. And of course, it's protected by the Gorilla Glass 3, so it should be pretty durable, pretty scratch resistant. Why not? In terms of power, it has a Qualcomm 400 1.2 gigahertz quad-core CPU with an Adreno 305 GPU and 4 gigs of internal storage, and of course 512 megabytes of RAM. I would like to see it with a little more, but in all honesty, the performance in this guy was fine. I didn't find that it was tripping over itself too often. I'd see a stutter here and there. When we're talking Android things, that's usually what I look for, is that annoying lag, that Android lag. But I didn't see too much of it here. If I had to fingerprint it, I would say I only saw that when switching watch themes, and yeah, I think that's acceptable. I have no beef there. It's got a crap load of sensors on it. There's an accelerometer, there's an ambient light sensor in the front, there's a gyroscope, and there's a vibration haptic engine. So you know, it does give you that vibration when things are going on, when you get notifications, so on and so forth. And the battery life, now this is interesting. It's only got a 400 milliamp battery, and Motorola is saying that this guy gets up to 2 days. In real life use, shockingly enough, this guy got up to 2.5 days with me, and you know, I just decided to charge it because I wasn't really doing anything. So when I actually charged it after 2.5 days of use, it was at like 20%. I thought that was impressive. You know, that's one of the things I sort of watched out for, when first thinking about the concept of a smartwatch. I thought that was one of the Achilles heels. You know, don't tell me I have to charge my watch. But you know, every 3 days for something with this functionality, I don't mind. I think it's okay. So it comes with in terms of connectivity, you've got the Bluetooth 4.0, the low energy, of course, which is important. Again, with that stellar battery life, perhaps the connection, the constant 4.0 low energy connection to your phone really shows it shows how dope that is here. And of course, it's got the 802.11 Wi-Fi signal, whatever you want to call that. So that's cool. Now, in terms of me reviewing a watch and why I wasn't a big fan of a smartwatch is, you know, mainly because for me, a watch it's a piece of craftsmanship, and there's a lot that goes into making watches, and the movements and the materials used and the techniques. I think the story of the craftsmanship of a watch is a huge deal, or a huge contributor to the actual identity of that watch. When we're talking smartwatches, there's none of that. This thing is a piece of technology that's going to be arguably obsolete, in a year or two the most. So to me, I've always made the arguments, don't try to tell me that a smartwatch can be a timepiece. And you know, I also was very gung-ho on on poo-pooing the fact that I don't need something to vibrate again to tell me that my phone got a notification. Now, in real life use, I'm just gonna say it, this shit is dope, man. There's a lot about it that, again, I poo-pooed and I really wasn't paying attention to. And now that I've used it, I've been using this thing for about 4 days, and I gotta be honest with you, man. This stuff's pretty dope. There's a lot of value here to be added with, and I guess you can say a off-device notification, right? So I ran into a lot of different scenarios, like I was hanging out with my cousin and my phone was dying. I'd been out all day, so I actually left the phone on the bench next to me charging, and we're talking, and text messages are coming through, and I heard the text message go off, but I felt it on the watch, and I just looked over, I glanced at it, I read it, and if I didn't need to respond, I didn't go to the phone, and that was that. Now, there is the ability to respond onto text messages or reply in various ways. You can sort of they got these pre-canned messages you can send out. You can send emojis, or you can sort of talk into the watch because it does have a mic. And I didn't care to do any of those things, but the fact that it's there, and I think they require some practice, and once you get them down, then they become very useful. So that I thought was dope. I used it as a step counter because I don't like wearing like the Fitbits anymore because they clash with my jewelry. I tend to wear stack bracelets, and Fitbits and those smart things aren't very good looking in most cases, and they just don't go well with my ensemble. So it was cool to have a watch be able to sort of count my steps, so on and so forth. But there's a lot of dope things here. The UI is pretty simple. You get your Google cards on there, so it was cool to see that when my packages were delivered, I actually got that Google card. It was cool to see that there was a thunderstorm coming in. I got that on the watch. The text messages, the emails, a lot of that stuff is stupid dope. There's also if you swipe to the left, you'll see the apps that you have on there, and there's the Google Maps stuff, and you get this really skinned down version of the UI to let you navigate easily. That's cool. And then another swipe will reveal your contacts, and then another swipe will show you like a lot of different options. I thought the UI was very well laid out, and of course you press the crown, and that takes you back to your home button. There isn't much about it that I complained. If I could complain about something, it's the fact that I can't really find a watch face that I really, really like. There's some cool ones, but there's something wrong with each one. And I heard you can make your own, so maybe one day I'll try that. But this is a dope watch, and I wasn't a fan of the design. It is an attractive looking watch, but to me there isn't enough intricacies going on with the design. Like I would have wanted a texture crown, but that really holds no argument because part of the Moto stuff is you can go to the Moto customizing site and really just pick your crown, pick your the case, the bezel. You can add some colors. It's really dope, and I like what they did here. And I mean, this thing's waterproof. That's one thing I forgot to mention. It's IP7 rated, so that's really, really dope. Especially when you look at the gray plastic strap that I've got on here now. This thing is a killer for somebody who wants to be in the pool or you work in a rugged environment. I really like what I saw here, and it reminds me. This is one of those products, and I love to come across these products where you've been doing things for so long, you've been casting opinions on things for so long that you sort of fall into this zone where you think you know everything, and you're just like, not a big deal, or that's a big deal, this is a big deal. This is a reminder to me that you really should just not have an opinion on something before you use it. You know what I mean? I think that's super dope. And I'm glad I got the opportunity to review this. Shout out to Brian for getting this over to me. I'm glad I was able to be pleasantly surprised. And you know, now when people talk to me about smartwatches, I have a different opinion. I think these things are dope. Me personally, it's still something I wouldn't spend the money on. For $300, $400, whatever it is, I feel like these things can be worth the money, although you can get some really dope watches in that price range. But I would like to see companies put a little more emphasis on the detail and the design of the actual case and the crown and the bezel. I don't mind the screen so much, but you know, even this guy, if you throw a metal bracelet on here, it sort of becomes a really attractive watch. But for someone like me, it's not attractive enough. But, you know, I would recommend this guy. I think it's dope. I was pleasantly surprised again by the functionality, the way it goes back and forth with your phone and notifications. I think that's cool. And one thing to watch out for, I heard these things don't work well with iOS. So there you have it. My name is Ramon. This is Lifestyles Defined, and I hope you enjoyed the review. I'm out of here. Peace.